How's it going, everyone? So I just started a Spec7 build. I'm pretty deep into it. I just put a bunch of COB LEDs on it. I wanted to make it sort of like Joe Mama and NM Growers quad. So it's just fully LED. Yeah, that looks good. And then I just figured this was a good time to kind of go into it and show how I have it built up. And I still have to solder a few things up, so we can do that. And then kind of just talk about different ways you can do things with it, because it's, I don't know, this is one configuration, but if you just take a couple of the plates whenever you're building it and rotate them 45 degrees, you can have a plus quad. And then whenever it's in plus configuration, you can rotate the bottom plate either one direction or the other, and you can have a forward back battery or side to side battery, kind of based on what you want and how it feels in the air. But it's easy to experiment because you just take the screws out, rotate it, put them right back in, and then you're ready to go. But yeah, let's go to the desk. Oh, I lost my camera. But we should be able to see me in the top down. Okay, didn't realize my camera went out. Whenever you order one of these, just make sure the first thing you do is get a 3mm driver, because it would be kind of unfortunate if your quad shows up and you can't even take it apart, or I guess build it. I've gone to the field before and I had trouble with it because I had to take it apart because my ESC died, and I couldn't do that because I didn't have my 3mm on this, because I'm not used to carrying that around yet. But yeah, you get these big M5 screws, and then I have mine built up this way just because I'm not ready to try a plus yet. I kind of just like it in this configuration. And the way I did my LEDs, I'm pretty sure Joe Mama and Neil, they soldered 12-volt COB LED strips to their ESCs. I think you just need one on each phase, and then that gives it enough current to power the LEDs. But what I did, I got a 5-volt regulator, and then I have them all wired up to that. But I still need to solder up my hybrid board. So we're gonna do that real quick. But yeah, these COB LEDs don't really pull that much current, so you don't need like a crazy regulator. And I just got these off Amazon. They come in a crazy length. Like, I'm pretty sure I could do like 3 Spec7s, because I already did Evans with this one, and then I just did this one, and I still have that much left. But we're just going with the hybrid board on the top plate, but there's 30 by 30, there's 25.5, and 20 by 20. I use the 20 by 20 mounting. Or you could just double-sided tape it, but I like to reuse my hybrid boards sometimes whenever I really need one. And it's really a pain to get it off whenever it's double-sided taped. Let's see, entirely too pretty. Can't wait to see what motors you all come up with for these. Yeah, we're planning on doing I guess a 533 version of the X-Nova Freestyles, but it'll be more, it won't be as smooth as them, because we'll be going for a more torquey motor, sort of like how they have a freestyle line and a racing line. Ours will be the racing line. But this quad, or I guess this frame, just performed pretty amazing at Street League Champs. We had, how many people running it? There was Free, there was Sturmy, Alex, Evan, Amari, Shames. Trying to think who ordered one that was going, but we did manage to take top 5 with the Spec7, which was pretty amazing. I think Potato almost made that not happen, but Potato's a great guy, one of our pilots actually. I don't know how we didn't get one in his hands, which I should have, because he's crazy on Tiny Trainers, he's crazy on Freedom Spec, so like, yeah, he'd be crazy on Street League. But I just need to solder up my video, TX1, and some 5-volt and ground. I'm gonna get a little more light down here. But yeah, A-Drone had one. That was in the top 5. Yeah, I mean, Adrone killed it. Like, I was so impressed with Adrone's flying. Let's see. Yeah, it took the entire podium. I was amazed. I was watching the stream silently because I was over a friend's house and we were doing some couples type stuff. But I felt like the guy that had his little ESPN going on his phone so he could keep track of his fantasy or something. But yeah, it was great. And the finals kind of took a while, so it was kind of hard to sit down and watch it. I guess there was some like spec check complications right at the end there, and that really slowed things down. But I guess that brings me on to a different topic. Like, whenever people are getting their chapters interested in Street League, I think the easiest way to kill it would be if everybody kind of just builds their own quads, and then sometimes people show up with a slow build and sometimes people show up with a fast build, because it's kind of easy to do that with Street League. But if everybody kind of decides on one build, you'll have the best racing. So like, if you guys are just trying to save some money, then you could easily build one with the hyperlights. But the problem with the hyperlights is if you're trying to be competitive, they've been shown to be the slowest motors. But like, not everybody travels to races. So like, if you're with a bunch of group of guys that don't plan on like traveling every month to go to a Street League race, then it would completely make sense for you and your buddies to just get any of the frames that are Street League spec and then run the hyperlights. But yeah, if you're gonna do it at like the chapter level and you want your chapter to really get into it, I suggest kind of getting together with everybody and deciding on your builds, because you don't want to kill it before it starts. Let's see, TX1 is up there. I should have got my wiring diagram. I used to have those magnifying glasses like Quad Doc always runs, but my daughter broke his and now he has mine. Hoping to get mine. Yep. Let's see, where's the video pad on this flight controller? Pretty sure it's on the back. I've built it up before, so it's like almost oh no, there's a VTX pad right there. Oh yeah, and then these flight controllers have the like bridges, so you can do 9 volts or 10 volt or 5 volts or I think 9 volt on any of these plus pads. I had these in a bunch of HD0 quads, so we're gonna see how that turns out. I'm gonna take this plug out and run it under. I made this little 3D printed part just so I could easily zip tie this down, and I didn't want to double-sided tape it anywhere. And then it kind of just slides down. It's gonna hold these wires under, keep it all tidy. But yeah, I've been having so much fun flying this thing. I loved flying my practice rig for the longest time. I feel like 2 years ago I was flying that thing. I'd always try to convince people to build one with me, but most of the time they just wanted to fly mine and just beat the crap out of it. But now they get to fly this, because we have like, what, 4 of them built up over here now, and I'm not worried about letting somebody... First person, I think, to kill an arm on it was Evan, and the way he did it was that him and Sean went head on into each other. So Spec7 against Spec7, I guess, equals a broken arm on one Spec7. So we have our hybrid board, and then I'm just running the Foxier stack. I think this is the Foxier 60 amp that does the 128 kilohertz. And then you got the MPU 6000 flight controller, which are kind of rare nowadays. Shames in the house, you were crushing it. Yes, he was. Shames was on another level. Would have been cool to see Shames take the win on that one. He is probably one of the pilots that I think should have been on DRL like 2 years ago, but somehow hasn't been added yet. But like the new thing we were doing is you know how we have 533 jerseys? We're doing a Champions Edition. So like whenever somebody wins a championship and they're a 533 team pilot, they get a jersey that looks very much like this box. So I had some ordered already for a few of the pilots that are like our championship pilots, but then now I'm going to be adding Amari, so I need to remember to order him a championship edition jersey. But it would have been also cool to see Sean in one, because he was out there going so fast. Dynamic RPM, that a new RPM or Betaflight feature? Oh, okay, yeah, no, I think they have their special, they're doing like their own fork of Betaflight, which is going to do the RPM limit kind of just Betaflight side for you, so it's not like they have to run the spec checker each time, because right now the process is if your quad looks fast, somebody's like, oh, I'd like to see a spec check on that, it might be a little hot, and then they run it, they have like a dummy Betaflight almost, where it's like you get to click a button with your 24 volt power supply, or whatever volt power supply you want to run, and you tell it and you set the RPM limit you're trying to reach, and then it spools up your motors unloaded, and then you get your own special motor output limit plus your 75% throttle cap, and then that's how they kind of spec everybody. But I think the current situation is that some motors unloaded don't go up as fast as the other motors whenever they have a prop on it. So I guess dynamic RPM limits will solve that problem. I guess top RPM, they'll solve that problem, but there'd still be the fact that some motors will definitely spool up faster than others. So like, I guess getting from point A to B, one will be faster, but it won't, like point B being top speed will be the same for all of them. So that should be cool. Let's see, we just need to add some antennas. And they should be good to go. I like to run the duos and then experiment with 500 hertz every once in a while, but I'm still the guy that doesn't trust it at a big event, so I usually just do it when I'm practicing. But I know a lot of people that run it at big events. I think there's even some people that run like not even the full antenna, they do like this little tiny whip antenna, and they trust it, like they live and die with Ghost. I don't know if anybody's ever realized this, but these hybrid boards come with a little SMA with this little lock on it. You can actually pull this off and put it on any antenna. I've done it to a few. Like I've had these Foxier ones. I've taken the clip off the the SMA that comes with it and put it on these and then lock those on. So if you, oh yeah, right, here's one. Here's a Foxier, and then I took the little lock and slid it on there, and then you can still use it and lock it onto the board. So you don't only have to get a 533 UFL to be able to have your UFL lock. I just killed all our sales, dang it. Dumb question, what's a spec? Spec 7, yeah, so I think somebody's replying to you right now explaining what it is, but yeah, there's a 7-inch spec called Street League. There's also MLDR, and then the biggest 7-inch spec would be DRL, but we had a bunch of pilots asking us to make a 7-inch frame for Street League specifically, and so we kind of just did that. It's turned into like a thick back, was what people originally asked for. They just wanted something that was compact, had all the mass in the middle, because currently a lot of the frames, they put mass all over the thing. They add TPU, making the profile of it even bigger so it's slower. So we kind of wanted to keep everything off the arms, and then we have these little caps that you can put a bunch of weight in. Like I think some people have got this as heavy as like 300 grams, and then you just put it on top, and then it completely offsets your battery weight, because you have this big, almost 300, maybe more than 300 gram battery, and then that just gets your CG perfect, and it actually flies incredible. So let's see, that's on. I'm probably gonna employ Kevin Turner to help me get this up to weight. I have not been able to get one as heavy as him. It's his new hobby, is to get these little hats as heavy as he can. And I was doing it with like tungsten putty and weights. But then one thing I learned is when you let your quad sit for a while, the tungsten putty is, I guess, viscous enough that when you let it sit, it actually starts dripping down through the top plate. So what Kevin does, I guess he's been doing it since the start. He puts a little layer of tape down, which I need to do, and that keeps it from dripping through the top plate. It looks a little weird whenever you pick up your quad and it's just got this gray, thick drip coming down in it. But yeah, streetleague.io. That is where you can find more about the spec. I'm pretty sure the frame just has to be, it has to swing 7-inch props. It has to be open source. It has to have a 90 millimeter squared cross section for any like number of arms supporting the motor, and then they have a circumference rule. So that's, yeah, this quad was born because we wanted something that was rotationally symmetric, and we wanted 2 arms because that helps meet the requirements easier and have better, I guess, torsional properties. Because if I went with these 2 arms just straight to the body, the same thickness straight to the body, it wouldn't be as torsionally stiff as this separation here. And then, yeah, everything just sort of stemmed from that, because once it was rotationally symmetric, we had 2 arms. Everything was just put in holes places after that. But I don't know if my camera cut out too early whenever I was doing the stand-up portion, but here's what it looks like with these COBs on that little 5-volt regulator. Yeah, I think that's gonna look beautiful. But Timothy, since you're in here, does that even meet the LED requirement if I just have them on the bottom? I guess technically I need 1 up top. It's like viewing angles. That's one that I didn't look into. I was just doing this one for fun because I wanted to be able to do some chase footage, but I guess technically from the top you're not going to see any of those. So do I need 1 on top? Because from the side you could see, but you can't see it from the top. I guess I can look up that rule. I might be adding 1. But I have all kinds of LEDs. I even have these little saddle lights, I'm pretty sure is what they're called, that do a little side blasting, but I still don't think that gets it viewable from the top. So I'll have to figure that out. But how I zip tie my antennas on, I like to zip tie it to an arm with some of this gaffer's tape. And I usually just zip tie it around the base because it has those little grooves in it that keep it in place. Just make sure you put it on the back arms on top. Is that a requirement? To have it on the back arms on top? Or is that just kind of where you put, oh, you don't want them, need it visible from 2 sides. Does that count if it's visible this way and this way? I guess also this way and this way. Like, what do you count as a side? Do they, 2 opposite sides? But yeah, I guess it makes sense to put them on the back arms because I remember like in DCL days, whenever you put your COBs on the front arms, you just blow yourself out. Yeah, exactly. Doesn't matter for local stuffs. When is the dynamic RPM beta flight coming out? Because I could see a lot of cool uses for that. Not even Street League. Like, I remember talking to Ashley Davis at Champ. No, it was IO, and we were talking about how we're kind of just shooting ourselves in the foot with these tracks, and then just pushing our quads to limits. And at some point, we almost need like a fast spec or an open spec. And it's like run whatever you want, but then we could set an RPM limit. Or just some way to ensure that everybody's going to make it around the track, because it's kind of lame whenever you're watching a championship and it's decided by who can limp across the finish line. That's my opinion. But yeah, this quad's technically ready. I just need to add some weight. So what I usually do to add weight, there's this huge cavity in the base where you can put a bunch of tungsten weights and putty, or Sean has actually filled it with lead. And then in the yarmulke, as our buddy Alex, who just showed up, he likes to call it the yam. I feel like he invented the yam. I wouldn't know about the yam without Alex. Let's just put it that way. And then we have it dimpled for speed because golf balls are fast. And yeah, you've put weight in there, you put weight inside the body, and then it's ready to go. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I need to cover on this. I guess, yeah, I don't know when my camera cut out when I was standing up. So it's rotationally symmetric, meaning that if you take this top plate, middle plate, and base plate whenever you're building it and rotate them 45 degrees, these two holes are the same distance as these two holes. So you can run it in a plus configuration. And then with the base plate being rotationally symmetric, you can also rotate that either way. So whenever you have it in the plus, you can have your battery in the side-to-side configuration or the front-to-back configuration, so you could strap it in. And then there's some people that take their standoffs and don't only put them on the front two and back two. They put them on all 8, and then they take I think it's the bottom plate, and make it the top plate. So they have 2 bottom plates, and they have this tank-looking quad. Alex is the first one to build one. I don't know if anybody else has built one yet, and it's insane. Looks like you will never hurt your stack because it's like protected from all sides. So just got a hex a day ago. I can't wait to get home and try it. Shout out to Infinity. Oh, Infinity's making beta flight forks. That's pretty sweet. Yeah, adding weight to quads. It feels crazy, but we tried to do it in the smartest way possible. Because, I mean, there's a million ways to add weight to a quad, but we just thought it made sense to add weight where it offsets the weight that everybody else kind of hates being away from the prop line, which is battery, and then get it all centered. So this thing, I don't know, I'd arguably say it flies better than my 5-inch. It's just slower because, yeah, we don't want to add weight to these guys. And I guess some people are experimenting with top mount again, or I guess if you get your stack low enough, because with like a pancake flight controller, some people are building their stacks like they're using 10mm standoffs. I'm pretty sure T-Dog said, or T-Dizzle, my buddy, my dog, my homie, T-Dizzle. He said he's trying to run 10mm standoffs. So if you had like little 10 mils and then the battery right on top of that, you would have a great CG relative to your prop line. I need to finish building that because I need to start practicing for champs. But yeah, I hope this answered a lot of questions about Spec7s. Anybody who ordered a light configuration, your order did not ship yet because our first shipment of Spec7s only had long arms. But they just shipped. I just got confirmation from our carbon cutter, and the light arms are on the way, so they will ship by end of week because it usually takes like 3 days for the arms to come in. But yeah, thanks for checking this out. Thanks for all the information on that sky. I'm kind of excited to see that. That will actually make it super easy to be spec. And then I guess you'll never run into the situation where you did for finals, where you kind of had to hold everything up because everybody wanted to make sure everybody was spec. Because that seemed like it took a really long time. Because if it's just constantly keeping people spec, your race is going to run beautifully. But yeah, I need to make it out to a Street League race, but I'm pretty sure the Street League season just ended. Thanks for the fastest frame in Street League. I think, did Sean show up with a stacked Spec7? Because one thing you can also do, which him and Free and I think Alex came up with it, you don't even have to make this like a triangle configuration. You can kind of take this arm, put it under it, and then you just need longer hardware, and then you can have an even, I guess, faster. I don't know if it's proven yet, but you'd have less arm under your prop as well. So there's a ton of ways to build this thing. and you can kind of go crazy with it. And I guess since it's open source, you can cut whatever craziness you want to do for it. Heart of America says absolutely, like it is faster. Okay. Kimbo, you haven't ordered it yet, but you're excited to see it. Yeah, we have a bunch coming. We're gonna have stock for a while. We have a bunch of spares. We even ordered the spare stainless steel standoffs, but I have no idea how somebody's gonna bend one of these stainless steel standoffs. They're 8 millimeters in diameter, and they are just solid. I think, like, I'm pretty sure they ended up weighing like 3, maybe 4 times more than the aluminum ones. And then, yeah, stainless steel is just inherently like 3 times stronger than the aluminum we were running, so yeah. And then I need to add these hats to the store, but yeah. It doesn't come with any of these prints. I guess I should have had some of those prints. It comes with a variable camera mount and an SMA mount, just so you can have freedom to run whenever you want. We don't want to force you to run an XE2, and we don't want to force you to run a Foxy or Predator. We always supply the most universal option. And then, yeah, I can add these to the shop, so if anybody wants them, get that aerodynamics. What Sean needs to do the next test is to see if the dimples do anything. That would be a fun test, but you probably need more accuracy than your GPS to see if this is actually affecting your top speed. But yeah, thanks for hanging out, guys. I'm pretty sure the next live stream I'll be doing will probably be another light switch build, and then we'll sell that one again. And I don't know what other live streams we have in the future, but I want to do more content like this, and then I'm also going to be doing more content sort of out in the field, hopefully catching some ADAS stuff with Charles and Evan, or whatever other craziness we're up to. Just kind of letting everybody know what's going on. But yeah, thanks for hanging out, guys. Let's see if I can end this from my phone.